Squad, Jack! Banner, quick, march! Right, wheel! Right, wheel! Right, wheel! Right, wheel! Foot! Hop! Up, Jack! Banner, quick, march! Left, wheel! Left, wheel!
Right. Now, I saw Five Soldiers at Birmingham Rep in 2015. So what's changed?
So, I kind of went back to the drawing board. I went back to all my original notes, all my diaries, and I looked at the things I hadn't looked at in Five Soldiers, or I'd been too afraid of, because I didn't understand it. Coming back to the work, I realised that I jumped straight into, they're already soldiers, boom, and then that's it. Now I've worked with the Army, and that this long association now with the British Army, I wanted to think about how does a civilian go from being a civilian to becoming a soldier. And we all think about a lot of the physicality, but also having done MK Ultra, I'm interested in how mentally we change people. So MK Ultra was all about brainwashing, and I wanted to see how you train civilians to prepare for war. And so there's a new first half, and that's what that's about. And it's quite dramatic, it's quite brutal. We've got some Wagner in there, we've got some really intense electronic white noise music from Mersbow. We look at interrogation, we look at assault courses, they have a gassing test. Then the second half, that's where we go a bit more back into Five Soldiers world, where we get to see them as soldiers who are people. So they're mucking around, they're much more human, they love each other, they have tensions with each other, and then we go to war. So the second half kind of follows the pattern of Five Soldiers a bit more, but it's a much bigger cast, so there's a lot more to play with.
There's a political element to Five Soldiers, isn't there? Have you still got that political element?
I think, for me, the political point to the show is that we know what the cost of war is. We knew that from ancient times. If you read the Iliad and the Odyssey, you've got elements of PTSD in there. We certainly know it from the First World War and the Second World War. Yet somehow, after these kind of recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, it still surprises us that soldiers both have injuries that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. There's a lot of young people survived profound injuries, and the mental health strain on soldiers and ex-soldiers and veterans is really profound as well. And we need to, as a civilian society, talk about that and absorb them back into civilian society. And I think we can be really ungrateful for what young people have gone through. And I think I still feel quite passionate about that.
The Army, you work very closely with the Army. What's the Army's reaction to this? I mean, how do they feel about it?
Well, the Army reaction has changed dramatically over the past 10 years. I got in completely under the radar, all through different, very strange, convoluted routes. 2015, there was a grudging kind of, oh, all right, you can do it in our base, but not really officially. It was only when the Army in Scotland met us and said, hang on, this is talking about all the things we want to talk about. We want to talk about diversity, we want to talk about bullying, we want to talk about gender equality and women's role in the Army. Let's embrace this. It's difficult subjects, but this is what we should be talking about, and changing the Army. I can't believe it that now they're in full association with us. That's incredible. So I think that says a lot about Army attitudes, as well as the fact that they're embracing the arts.
And what about reaction of audiences? Is it a totally different reaction when you've got an Army audience and when you've got a sort of civilian audience?
My ideal is to have a bit of both, because the civilians like to ask real soldiers, this feels really authentic, but is it? Now, I can sit there and say, well, I think it's pretty authentic, but a soldier saying, this felt like a 6-month tour, this took me back to Afghanistan. We had a soldier in America who said, this took me back to Vietnam. That, then civilians are like, okay, good, because they feel it, but they want that validation.
And this has been going on now for, what, since 2010, isn't it, when you
That's
first started?
right, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I have had a few breaks in between.
And you've done other things
I've
as well.
done lots of other things. I don't only do army.
But is it going to carry on going? I mean, are we going to get, we've got 10 soldiers, are we going to have 20 soldiers?
Well, we've got
Battalion.
120 soldiers, so we've got 120 volunteers that are going to do a pre-show performance in the foyer areas. So, yeah, my army is growing.
So
I mean, a dancing army.
You're heading towards regiment.
Exactly. I want an honorary colonelship. No, I don't, honestly.
So this is going to be an arena show before long.
Well, I don't. I mean, honestly, I'm so chuffed that it keeps hitting people's nerves and it still seems to have a relevance. I mean, that's incredible. When you make a piece of art, you have no idea whether it's going to last for a week or 10 years, and here we are, it's going into sort of its... I mean, I started researching this, gosh, about 13 years ago, so it's been a big chunk of my life. And I care still deeply about it, so it's quite incredible, actually. Not many artists get that opportunity.
And it's still evolving, and from what you said, it doesn't finish yet.
And it doesn't, yeah, that's right, and I keep changing it, and I keep adding more, and I've got like Harriet and Luke who've been in the show for several years, and I'm changing all the choreography, and I'm putting drill on the other side, and just keep it exciting and fresh for everyone.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, double